If you've ever complained about how expensive thermal and night vision is, I want you to like this video. If you've ever gotten in trouble with your wife for buying thermal or night vision, you have to buy a silencer from me. Guys, thanks for watching. I'm Mark Bays. I'm the owner of Bays Firearm Resource. Today I'm going to be doing a review over my helmet setup. There are not a lot of guys yet running a lot of helmet mounted setups in our area, being in southeast Oklahoma. So I'm wanting to go ahead and tell you how I set mine up. It's really similar to a good friend of mine, Tanner McAdams of Red River Night Vision. And I'm going to go over why I picked the unit that I'm using, the helmet that I'm using, and the mount that I'm using, because there's a lot of questions that seems kind of complicated, but I'll walk you through it all. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so first things first. The helmet that I'm using is a Bush Protective. I had never heard of them until I talked to Jay of Sure Shot Night Vision. Jay is awesome, and he has a ton of knowledge when it comes to actual night vision. And he knows a lot about thermal as well, but if you're looking at actual night vision, he's the guy to go to. He has a ton of knowledge. He builds the stuff. He knows what he's doing. He's forgotten more than I'll ever know. But he recommended to me Bush Protective, so I ended up getting one from him. They're a German company, and if you know anything about the Germans, they know how to make good stuff. And it's an awesome helmet. I like it a lot. I am going to complain a little bit how you're limited in your sizing options. The only size I could order from Jay was an extra large, and I wish I could have went ahead and got a medium. I don't have a very large head. At least literally. My wife would argue that sometimes I figuratively have a large head. But anyways, it's an extra large, but that's my only complaint. And the fact that it's an extra large kind of speaks to how great the actual suspension system is in the helmet. And it does a great job. I mean, you can adjust it all the way down to the size of my head. I mean, ball caps, cowboy hats, I'm like a 7 1/8. So the suspension system's great, and it's actually a really comfortable helmet once you get it balanced, and we'll talk about balancing it here in just a minute. But it really is. It's a great quality helmet. I like it a lot. It's just a bump helmet, so keep that in mind. This is not a ballistic helmet. The reason I decided to go with a bump helmet is because I just did not want to spend the extra money for a ballistic, but also you do save some weight. The ballistics are going to be heavier. Now this is not carbon fiber, nothing super fancy, but it's still a good quality helmet. I know that there's some guys who think you're kind of just playing pretend, I guess, or whatever whenever you're wearing a helmet, but I haven't found a better way to run helmet-mounted thermal or night vision. I know there's like a head harness that some guys use, but there's so many advantages because eventually you can always run a light, which, trust me, whenever you're doing stuff at night, I haven't done it yet, but I want a light mounted on my helmet. Eventually I'm going to have an updated video where I have light, and I'll eventually have a PVS 14 here. But for right now though, this is how I have it set up. You can do so much with this bump helmet that you just can't do with like a head harness or anything like that. Now, the mount that I'm using to actually run my thermal unit, I'm using a Wilcox G24 mount, so it's not the actual bridge. It is this mount right here that the bridge goes on. And it really is the standard, the G24 bridge. It has plenty of adjustment to get it articulated to the right place for your head. So I have no complaints about it. It's expensive. It is what it is. I mean, anything machined with precision, made of good quality, made in America, you're going to have to pay a little bit of money. But with that being said, Wilcox G24, it's the way to go. It's got the extended adjustment on it. It's what Jay recommended. It's what everybody who's serious about this stuff runs. Now, you may notice that on the back, I've got the counterweight. This is a Mohawk from Tactical Night Vision. This is a necessity. I ran this for about 6 months without it, and I'm just telling you right now, it is a pain, because whenever you are running this helmet and you've got all that weight hanging off of the front, it's going to crank on your neck. It's not going to feel good. It's going to be mashing into your forehead. Having something that you can counterweight. I know the idea is you don't want to have extra weight sitting on top of your head, but it's more important to have it balanced than actually to lighten the maximum amount of load. Inside this, I'm running an Anchor power core, so as you can tell, I've got my unit. It runs off of a battery pack. and I also have a few additional counterweights that come with this Mohawk from Tactical Night Vision. And it is just a great counterweight. It's what you want, it's what you need. And also, you want to run a battery pack with your helmet. You don't want to have to deal with running batteries in this unit for a couple reasons. Number one, the regular CR123s in this particular unit, it goes through them fast, so you don't want to have to be changing them out. Also, this unit can use the rechargeable batteries, but it extends the length, and just the shorter, more compact it is, and the less weight you have on top of your head, the better. So you will want to run a battery pack, you will want to use a counterweight. It's going to be completely 100% worth it. Now, the bridge that I'm running the Wilcox Skeeter bridge. So the Skeeter, I actually used to have one. You may have seen it in some videos that I did. But the Skeeter bridge, this is not the ideal setup, but I don't really know of anything that's better right now. You may notice, if you're a real night vision guy, something looks weird about my unit, and that's because I have the dovetail mounts flipped around the other way. The reason being is this Skeeter bridge is designed to use with the Trijicon or the Oasis Skeeter. The Skeeter's a lot smaller unit, and it works great with the Skeeter because that's what it was designed to do. But this bridge, which is separate, and it does cost money, understand, we're talking about thermal and night vision, everything's expensive, okay? But it does work with this unit, and most of you probably know what this unit is, but I'll save the best for last. You'll notice that I have it flipped around. That's to get it farther out away from my face, because whenever I first had it mounted the other way around, it was just jamming right into my eye, which is not comfortable. So I've got the mount turned around backwards. So I know it looks weird, but I did what I had to do. Now, this is a dual bridge. The idea is eventually I'm going to run a PVS-14. So I'm going to have thermal over this side. This is a thermal unit. Then on my right, I am going to have a PVS-14 night vision. And that'll let me do kind of semi-fusion. I know the guys that do real fusion are going to make fun of me. Fusion is where you blend thermal and night vision, but you know, I'm poor. So with that being said, buy a bunch of silencers so I can afford fusion. But seriously though, this will give you some really cool things that you can do. So eventually I'm going to be running a PVS-14 over this eye. I'll have thermal over this eye. Another important thing to keep in mind before I get into the last part, which is the thermal unit itself. This paracord right here, use it. Tie your stuff onto your helmet. I've got this paracord run. It runs this unit. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the field and I've accidentally knocked this loose because there's just a simple button that you press and it releases it. This has saved my unit from falling on rocks, you know, in the mud, stuff like that. You want to tie it off. I'm not a fan of using the clips, the bungee clips that are on a helmet. If you've seen a helmet, you know what I'm talking about. They're not good enough. Not for me. So I run paracord. I'm running it to this, but I'm also running it to the mount because you actually can release this entire mount and the mount itself can come off. So I've got it double tied both places, plenty of insurance, because you know, whenever you're running around with a lot of money on your head, you don't want it to fall off. So with that being said, that is the quick rundown on the helmet itself. Now let's get into the fun part, which I could spend forever talking about it, but I'm going to just kind of keep it a little bit short. Guys, this is the NOX18. This is made by Envision. It is an awesome unit. It's 2-in-1. It doesn't work as a clip-on in front of your scope, but you can use it as a weapon sight. It is a BAE 640 12 micron core. It is absolutely amazing. And I know that a bunch of guys are going to mention a certain Chinese company. I'm not going to say their name, but it starts with an I and ends in Ray. And they're going to talk about how great it is, the I-Ray. But I'm just going to tell you right now, guys, this is an American-made thermal unit. It is tough, it's durable, it's built to last, and whenever you need anything, you can call the guys at Envision and they'll get you taken care of. So with that being said, man, this is just an amazing unit. You can ID out to ridiculous ranges. The battery life on this NOX is just absolutely insane. Whenever you use the Anchor power cord, I mean, I could run this thing, I think, for like 18 plus hours without having to recharge or do anything else. It comes with the shoe mount, so it's already ready to go to run as a helmet. That's really what it is best for. It's about the same size as a PVS-14. Yeah, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money to get it, but you get what you pay for. It's an American-made thermal. It is extremely high quality. It looks very, very good. Crispy bacon emoji. Good. But with that being said, I know it's pretty simple, straightforward. I know I could go into a lot more detail, but I'm just telling you right now, this is a great setup right here. It's not for everybody. I know that helmet mounted thermal is really expensive. But if you are like me and you don't have a bass boat and you don't have a whole lot of other hobbies, this is my hobby, right? This is what I do. So I went ahead and paid for the good stuff, and I did not regret it. Don't cheap out. Try to get good stuff. Save up for when you can. And trust me, you'll eventually want to run a helmet. It's just so much easier, so much nicer not having to hold up the scope, because I used to do that whenever I had my first thermal scope. I would take it off the gun, I would scan, and I'd put it back on my gun and hope that I put it back close to the right spot. But if you're looking into running a helmet setup, get a hold of Jay at SureShot. And if you want to run a thermal, get a hold of the guys over at Red River Night Vision and tell them that Base Farm Resource sent you. But the most important thing to understand is, if you're not shooting suppressed, you are behind. So get suppressors, because suppressors and thermals are meant to be together. So go to basefarmresource.com, start shooting suppressed. If you have any more questions about your helmet setups or anything like that, or the NOX18, let me know. If you want to see a review over that gun right there, that's my Night 22-250 rig. So with that being said, guys, thanks for watching, and have a good one.